Do you think, A, they deserve to be the favorites in light of what we've seen assembled in Brooklyn? And B, do you see anybody out west challenging the Lakers this season?
I think they do deserve to be the favorites because they're the champs. You have to knock off the champs. Anybody in the West, Denver, look, it's a lot of competitive teams out. Let me finish. It's a lot of competitive teams out there, but I don't think it's a team that can beat them in a 7-game series. A lot of
what
teams
about the Clippers? What about Kawhi?
Bro, we said that last year. So, until the Clippers beat them, it's just still the same old talk. And I get tired of watching you talk the same old talk. That's why that's like when you talk, I put it on mute. I love hearing Molly and Max talk because they speak real facts. Unlike you just be, I put it on mute. And then when the intelligent, smooth brother of Max Kellerman.
Okay. You know what's coming because I'm watching you on TNT. You know what's coming. I'm going to get you for that. I'm going to get you for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get you. Watch. You know I am.
Well, as usual, Shaq has a lot of very smart things to say.
Please, he's being too kind.
Shaq,
lying.
When I look out west, there are two teams that are interesting to me this year that maybe aren't getting as much press as some of the others. Dallas and Phoenix. What are your thoughts about their chances this year, Dallas and Phoenix?
Very young. They should go pretty far in the playoffs, but I don't think they have enough to beat the Lakers. The team that scares me if they're on full throttle, no mistakes, everybody's healthy. I'm always scared of Portland because I think CJ and Dame. I think they're the best backcourt in basketball right now. Those two, especially when they go going and they're shooting at a high rate. Clippers also scare me, but look, I need everybody to play at a high level. I want to see that Indiana Pacers Paul George, the aggressive Paul George, going through the hole, dunking, stepping out, shooting threes. I don't like seeing Paul when he goes up and down. I want to see the Indiana Pacers Paul. And Paul's been playing great, so I'm not going to jump on my guy Paul. But, if Paul could play at a high level with Kawhi playing at a high level, then yes, they can challenge the Lakers.
Shaq, talk to me about Novex Biotech. What's the deal?
Well, I wanted to be sexy like your husband. So, I was feeling lethargic.
How was your
I tried
inspiration?
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, your husband is beautiful. He's sexy. I know he has a six-pack. I said, you know what? I'm looking like Charles Barkley now. My belly is hanging over my belt line. So when I tried Novex GF9, I got more active. I was sleeping through the night, and I have energy. And yes, Stephen A. Smith, I have a six-pack. I'll send you a text right now. Stephen A. Smith.
I'll deal with you later.
I'm
not going to even say what I want to say. I'm not going to even say what I want to say. You know damn well you don't have no six-pack.
See? Okay. Here's my phone.
Oh, Lord.
You haven't tried Novex. No. You haven't tried Novex Biotech, Stephen A.
Listen. Unless he lost about 30 pounds in 2 days.
I did.
When Shaq started taking Novex Biotech, he was 6'1".
Oh, God.
I got it.
Stephen A. Smith.
I got it.
Check your phone.
He did send it too. He said something too.
Yeah, check your phone.
You're ridiculous.
I don't even want to see it.
It's just ridiculous.
All right, President of the Big Man Alliance. Oh, my
What did he send you?
goodness.
Let's see it.
No, I ain't showing
it.
Why you gonna
show it.
What?
Go ahead, show it. Yeah.
Y'all can't see this. No.
Oh, is that a bathroom selfie?
He's sitting there with a
Yes,
six. He's trying to
is.
say it's a six-pack.
Yes,
He's trying to say
it
it's a six-pack. He just sent it to me.
That's not him. Get out of here.
What you mean? That's Molly. That's me. I'm telling you
he
right
took
now.
this a year ago. He took this a year or two ago.
When did you take that? When you were in the finals?
He saved it in his library and stuff.
my
He just
God.
sent it to me. I ain't buying that.
I'm telling you,
what I
Molly.
saw.
Look,
Shaq, I
I'm
want to see the
telling you
date
right
on
now.
that photo. That was in the archive.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
No.
All right, Shaq, I'm told you got to go. Always a good time. I knew you'd bring me a smile and a laugh. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Lose some damn weight.
Oh, my God.
Shaq, he can do what he
You
wants.
see the picture? It's
It 2 years old. It's 2 years
No,
old.
look at it.
It's 2
Look at
years
it. It says
old.
December 15th,
Look at that
2020.
background, please.
Shaq, you got to hold the newspaper up.
Hey, Perk, but Max, I'm going to start with you. I know you got some feelings on that. Was Shaq ever the best player in the NBA?
Unless you have amnesia, of course. Is this a trick question? Shaq, do me a favor. Tweet at the show. Just answer this question yourself. Because I know what Kobe and Shaq used to say. Kobe best, Shaq most dominant. But let me make it simple. And Stephen A. picks up on Shaq most dominant, not the best. Oh, well, he's not the most skilled Duncan, or Kobe had more skills. In 99-2000, Shaq was the MVP, 30 points, 14 boards, and 3 blocks a game. He was the Finals MVP 3 years in a row. 3-time Finals MVP. By the way, he and Kobe played on the same team. He was a 3-time Finals MVP. But let me cut through all the nonsense. In those years, let's just take 99-2000. If we said, okay, list the best players in the NBA, the only position that Shaq would be in is 1. So everything else is semantics. You'd have Shaq 1, and then either Kobe or Duncan 2, and then the other 3, and then KG or whoever 4. But Shaq would be 1, and that was not the only season he'd be 1 on the list. In fact, the guy who had the most kind of undisputed claim to being the number 1 guy in the NBA, the best player in the NBA, between Jordan and LeBron's prime, I mean, Kobe was that, Duncan, you could argue, was that, but the guy who had the number 1 most undisputed claim was Shaq. That was the dude. How are we going to sit here and pretend that didn't happen? Of course Shaq was the best player in the game.
Well, first of all, my apologies, because I thought that we were talking about in terms of their playing time and whatever. 1999-2000, Shaq averaged 29-7, and he was clearly in his prime, most dominant, no question about it. He was unbelievable. From that point forward, it was Kobe, period. And when I look at Tim Duncan, and how spectacular he was. After Shaq won the MVP and they won their championship that year, the very next year, Kobe averaged 28.5. I would remind you that Shaq was shooting 52% from the free throw line. I would remind you that Shaq was getting bigger and bigger, and Shaq played when he wanted to play. Now, be very clear about this. Shaq was clearly the most dominant. I think Shaq is the most dominant force we've ever seen other than Wilt Chamberlain.
In our lifetime.
In our lifetime, okay? That's the most dominant force. And I'm not throwing any shade whatsoever. But not only did Shaq defer to Kobe in key moments, Shaq deferred to Kobe in the fourth quarter. Of course. Shaq deferred to Kobe at the free throw line. And Shaq, even though he could defend, especially if you challenged him, he'd shut you up real quick. That's not something he really had to do. So when I'm looking at Shaq overall, and I'm thinking from a skill set, the man was 7'1", 330 pounds he walked around with, all right? He was mobile, he was agile, his footwork was big time. He could do damage when he wanted to. He'd be in the open court, finishing off fast breaks. We get all of that. But at the end of the day, when you have a teammate, the likes of Kobe Bean Bryant, okay? I'm sorry, I don't feel that way. But again, the mistake is mine, not yours, because I wasn't really talking about 1999, 2000. I thought, I thought you was looking at it basically
during their time together, but I'll dispute that too.
All right, you can dispute that, but I'm telling you, Shaq is unstoppable, the most dominant force other than Wilt Chamberlain we have ever seen in the history of basketball. But in terms of the best, from a skilled perspective, I mean, I look at Tim Duncan, I look at Kobe Bryant as teammate.
He's not more skilled than those guys. I'm just saying, rank them. 1, 2, 3. Shaq, not just in 99-2000. I mean, Kobe was incredible. And of course, he was the closer. He's the guy who could handle the ball, create his own shot, clutch player, the whole thing. But Shaq, the following year, after those numbers I gave you 29, 13, and 3 blocks. Again, basically the same numbers. And by the way, he was the Finals MVP, not just in 99-2000, but in 2000, 2001,
no answer to him.
2000, 2002. He and Kobe played on the same team. He was the Finals MVP.
Perk get in here, guys. Perk, get in on this. Where are you? There you are.
I'm right here, Molly. Molly, I just want to know what's going on today. I've been watching First Take all morning, and I just want to say this right now to Stephen A. and Max. Stay off the weed. I don't know if it's the OG being passed around, the purple. I don't know the strands that's going around over there at Seaport Studio right now. But some of the things I've been hearing this morning has been blasphemous. Okay? But look, Stephen A., I got to agree with Max on this point. Because for those 3 years, not only was Shaq dominant, he was the face of the NBA. I can't think of no other guy that was having an imprint on the NBA like Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, he was averaging during that time 27 points a game, 11 rebounds, 57% shooting. No, I wasn't there yet. I got in at 2003. But what I'm saying is, Stephen A., when you look at Shaq and this is what people undervalue him at. When you talk about a skill set, Shaq footwork, Shaq ability to maneuver at that size, that's a skill set. Like, yeah, he wasn't going between his legs 1,000 times and doing all that, but you talk about the footwork that he had, was able to face up, spin off you, snatch the screws out the rim, the little soft touch turnaround that he had with one hand towards the baseline, soft touch jump hook. His passing ability is underrated. The way he was able to push the ball up the floor is no other player. Like, Tim Duncan was good. He was great. Kobe Bryant was great. But Shaq was on another level in those 3 years. And yeah, but I know that, right? But they felt under Shaq. And when Shaq came into arenas, he opposed his will. It was polarizing when he stepped in foot on the court. The opponents were terrified of him. So I got to say, not only he was the most dominant, but he was the face of the NBA in those 3 years.
Those three.
I never questioned whether or not he was the face of the NBA.
He was the best player.
He was the face of the NBA.
No, best player. Best player.
He was clearly the most dominant. I get that. Shaq and I have talked about this. We've had some disagreements, but not